Hello, humanity. Allow me to remind you about two things. Two things that God has given us for free for us to live and to be alive. In other words, our existence depends on these two things. I'm talking about oxygen and blood. Now, I am not a scientist, but my sixpence understanding of science tells me that we draw oxygen from the plants and the trees around us. I can also say that these two things are not manufactured anywhere in the world. But all of a sudden, we realize that they are there. We wake up every morning, sleep, but we are breathing. We don't even know where this oxygen comes from. There is no shop that sells oxygen, so that we would walk to a shop every morning and purchase quantities of oxygen. Now, that oxygen is supplied throughout our body by blood, more especially for our brain to function. Now, these two things are dependent on how we manage the environment around us. Now, it is incumbent upon us to conserve our environment, and this is ideally a command from the Creator himself. I will read for you a verse in the Bible to strengthen this case. Now, you can read with me Isaiah 43, verse 20 to 21. And it reads, "The wild animals honor me, the jackals and the owls, because I provide water in the desert and streams in the watershed, to give drink to my people, my chosen, the people I formed for myself, that they may proclaim my praise." Now you see, and that is why I tell you that there are some things that are pillars of our survival, but we take them for granted. Every day, we wake up and yearn for opulence, yearn for, houses, cars, facials, these things that we have control of. But did you know that they didn't matter? They didn't matter to us. They are not in any way integral to our existence. I will read for you another verse in the Bible about these two things and how they are important for our existence. Leviticus 17:11. "For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it for you on the altar to make atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that makes atonement for the life." Now, my people, these two things, I said, are dependent on how we conserve and manage our environment. I tell you what, let us all reflect and go back and think about how important it is to manage our surroundings, how it is important to manage that which God has given us for free. I tell you what, if you remember 1 to 2 years ago, oxygen was the only thing that was critical to the survival of those who had COVID-19. I don't want to remind you how costly it was to acquire that oxygen. People, you have it for free, but we take them for granted. We are busy dirting our environment, cutting trees. We don't want to farm and stuff like that. In developed countries, environment is well managed. There are places for farming, there are grazing lands, there are places they call riparian lands, farmlands, residential areas, something like that. We have to manage our environment because these two things depend on that environment. We get blood from the foods that we eat. That's how blood is manufactured in our bodies, the animals that we eat. There is no two way about it. We have to conserve our environment. They usually say it is easy to mismanage what you get for free, but you really manage what you have sweat for. So it is my advice to you this Sunday that there are two things that our existence depends on, and that is oxygen and blood, and they depend on the environment. Let us not take these two things for granted. Let us not take environmental conservation for granted. Everybody, go out there, plant a tree, farm, take care of the animals, because this is what we depend on. We are having drought ravaging parts of the world, and you see the way people are dying. I mean, if we could walk into shops and buy oxygen and buy these foods, then we can live. We can determine how long we live. But because we have no control of these things, we have to go back to ourselves and reflect and, decide if we want to do what God has told us. It is in the Bible. It's not me saying these things, but this is wisdom that we draw from the Bible, the holy book of the Almighty. So today, I just wanted to remind us that there are things that we get for free, but the mistake that we're doing is that we take them for granted. Please don't take these things for granted. God was very intentional to have these things around us, to create oceans, to create mountains, to have trees around us and stuff like that, because they are foods that we eat, that we draw from the oceans and lakes. They are animals that we eat, that live in the forests and the mountains and stuff like that. We have farmlands that we have to till and grow food. And then we have these trees that blow wind around us so that we can have constant supply of oxygen. Think about it. Will you continue taking these things for granted? Please don't. Until you realize that all you need is that oxygen. Until you realize that all you need is that blood, you will not take it for granted. I tell you. Bye.